Push. Today our topic is mental awareness. So we have today Mr. James Henderson and Mrs. Sydney
Bradley.
Bradley, Sydney Bradley. So real quick, when you hear the word mental awareness, what's the first thing that pops out in your mind?
That's a good question.
That's why I asked.
The first thing that comes to mind is, their mental capabilities of being able to handle situations. For me, what about you?
It makes me think about the mental health issues that are oftentimes overlooked in people, and how mental health issues could affect and impact the awareness that some people might have.
And why do you guys think it's so, for men, it's so prideful for a man to tell somebody he got mental issues or to go get help versus a female? A woman will.
I think it's more of a black community thing.
Wow. Okay.
I would agree with that, because there's always been a stigma of, or taboo in the black community to go out and get therapy,
right,
outside of talking to family, talking to friends. And I always say this about people who we have a complaint or have an issue, and there's no sense of complaining or talking about something if you don't tell it to someone who can help make a difference. Otherwise, you're just telling your business. And I say that to say that a lot of times we just tell our business when we're sharing with family and friends, but they can't help us. And mentally, we're trying to figure out how to get a situation resolved. Mm-hmm. And there are so many issues mentally in our community that we have to deal with, because it was taboo. Mm-hmm. Now it's not so much, but we'll go to the church and we'll talk to the pastor or the priest or whatever, but they don't have all the answers. So church as a whole, although it's a good idea, it isn't the only answer, only way to go about getting an answer, right, for whatever issue you're dealing with.
Any certain signs that you see that you can? We not therapists. I'm from the old school. The barbershop was therapy. Different organizations you're a part of was therapy. Just talking to you real quick. I know we are not therapists. Y'all not counselors. Any signs that you guys can pick up on when somebody's dealing with some kind of mental issue?
I wouldn't say signs I can necessarily pick up on, but I would like to bring it back to how you said, we go into organizations that we're a part of or talk to our community members, because it is about feeling that sense of people who know you, because people who know you the best are going to understand what you're going through the most, or that's what we think, but nobody's really going to understand. We think about these therapists and these doctors as these others because they don't understand what we've been through. They don't understand the life we've lived, so sometimes it's hard to go into people who don't have the same background or same dynamic and ask them for help because they don't really know anything about our situation. As far as signs as to mental health and picking up on signs, do you have anything, James?
Well, yeah, yeah, it's.
Because I'm like James. I got a situation where I always say, being smart, man, you special. I can pick up. I'm special. You can pick up on certain stuff that people do. You look, bro, go get some help, man. You can't have all these different mood swings 6-7 times a day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Go get some help as a friend. But the pride comes in where they don't get no help, and unfortunately, some situations it's too late.
Yeah. And they pop off, and before you know it, they turn into a serial killer / mass murderer because they shooting up the theater or a concert or whatever the case may be.
Correct.
And it's all mental health issues that they've been dealing with. And there 9 times out of 10 there are some signs. Maybe they speak aggressively about another race. Maybe they speak aggressively about men or women. And it's just little small signs, little small things. And, these are the kind of things if we're paying attention, we might pick up on it if we're somewhat aware. But if we're not and we're just having a good time, we might not catch it. And these are the kind of things that puts us in we're friends, but I'm not, every time I'm with you, we sitting around having cocktails. And so I'm, and we're just back and forth sharing our day and how people, cut us off on the freeway or, and it may be, or how the day went at the office. But, but we're just sitting around crying in our beer with one another.
What role do you think politics, race, and just the world we live in plays when it comes to mental problems?
So I think that is a very interesting question. Going back off to what James said, talking about how it could trigger something, we don't know how far somebody's going to go. Societal pressures such as politics and race, it treats people differently in the situations that they may be put into. So whereas someone with mental health may show signs of being aggressive or being upset about something, it's going to be taken more seriously depending on racial background, demographics, like where you live, certain things like that are going to make people think like, oh, this person is harmful versus, oh, this person is harmless. Now, a lot of mental health patients, they actually aren't like physically going to harm people. I was talking to the Cobb County people last week, I believe, at Stephen's mental health awareness thing, and they were talking about how in a lot of cases, people with mental health issues, they're not actually dangerous, but it's picking those people out from the people who are that makes it really hard, because one person may not be dangerous, but they talk to you really aggressively and you assume that they're going to harm you, versus somebody who could be completely quiet, completely shy, not say anything, and all of a sudden just snap and, like you said, go after everyone. Like, it's just a lot of times the backgrounds, the politics, the race, it all plays into how people are viewed and what they're allowed to get away with.
I think also it has a lot to do with people being comfortable on who they are. Mm-hmm. So many people lie with social media, with each other, with society just to fit in, and it's a presentation that's not real. Right. So I tell people all day long, it's hard to be fake, and it's so hard to be fake than just being 100.
So true. So true. You have made mention about politics, and it's a big, mental health awareness is pretty big right now, because of the way it is connected to a lot of our crimes, or supposed crimes. Even some of the shootings that have taken place, where people took place because the police can't tell the difference between this person who is having some mental issues and is breaking down versus someone who just has a desire to do bad. They can't tell the difference, and unless you know the individual from around the way, your neighborhood or your social club or whatever, you don't know. Right. But there are a lot of triggers that some of which is inherited, being passed down from generation to generation. Fear of the police. You see the brutality that goes on today, but that didn't just start with George Floyd. We've been dealing with that stuff as a community as a whole for call it a couple of decades or centuries even. Mm-hmm. You only started seeing it more when you go back to the 50s, the 40s and 50s, when you were talking Jim Crow and pictures turning up, and then of course live video camera, where the live footage where you see the dogs and the fire hoses being put out. That kind of stuff is traumatizing. Yes. And when you know about the experimentation that was done on black communities across the country, that's another issue. So some of that stuff is traumatic. You know, we call it post PTSD, if you like. But I mean, it's still traumatic, and it's passed down from generation to generation. You deal every day with as blacks, we deal with microaggressions from others on a regular basis. It don't just be nothing that's outright, but you got your Karens and your Kennies out there, you know, showing up, you know, wanting to call the police on you for selling a bottle of water or for just little or nothing. You know, just aggressively attacking you, knowing that if you say or do something back towards them, you know, that they can hit you and cuss you out, but you can't do the same. And
so you think the silence factor play a role? Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like you were just saying, some people scared to even. Let's say, for instance, Sydney said something to me that I know she was totally wrong, but I knew I didn't have a chance. If I say something back to her, I'm going to jail, or I'm gonna be locked up, or I'm gonna be criticized. So I take the punishment from her verbally. And over time, because of my silence, I don't explode on Sydney.
You explode on Sydney.
I explode on 1,000 people that look like Sydney.
Right. Sound like Sydney.
That had nothing to do with Sydney.
That's right. But you know what though? Here's the thing. It's the fear factor of going to jail and having your freedom taken away that they exploit. Okay? Because they know you either, if you say or do something and they want to fall out and clutch pearls and the whole get down and put on the whole show when they the one who threw the damn rock.
Well,
I'm finna throw the rock back at you.
No, they throw the rock high in their hand.
Yeah, throw the rock high in their hand, and when I throw the rock back at you and actually hit you with it, then you want to be, he's throwing rocks.
You ever been in the car before? This is some funny stuff. Happens to me all the time. I'm not saying I'm Big Bad Wolf, but I had a lot of people blow the horn at me. They can't see me. They'll blow the horn if I cut them off. They doing all this, but then when they pull up
next to you,
then they want to look straight ahead now.
Now they scared.
Yeah, but then if you respond to them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I've had my road rage has gotten to the point, man, where I get up next to you and I just start staring in your window.
Because a lot of times people don't have the same audacity they do before they have that face to the name that, you know, people get entitled behind the wheel. They're just like, oh, I run this. And it tells you a lot about people, like them thinking that they have the privilege.
Entitlement.
Right,
Yeah.
No, it is
We live,
it's cowardly.
We live still talking about mental awareness. We live on an entitlement world, period. Some people, and this goes from child to adults. We got kids out there who are entitled.
Yeah.
Okay? And we got adults who are entitled. So when it comes to mental awareness, those that are not entitled deal with more because they can't get what they deserve.
Right.
Or they can't get what's owed to them. You know what I'm saying? So they deal with so much pressure and so much just feeling like they're not good enough.
Right.
Because they're not getting what everybody's getting when they deserve it.
So that's when, like, the pleasing, you know, a lot of people, when they grow up around people who are very entitled or very, I don't know, just like aware of their own power, some people get to the point where they don't know that they have that power themselves. They think that they just have to please. They just have to make it so, oh, these people who are happy and they know this about themselves, I have to make sure that they remain happy and they remain knowing this about themselves, versus looking for the same excitement and power within themselves and like putting it out. But it's also, you know, like being afraid of what's going to happen, being afraid of asserting yourself and someone saying, hey, you're wrong because you did this to me, versus I did it to you 5 minutes ago, because they've already painted this picture of you. So Disco, when you said that, like, yeah, people might think that you're different, like if we were having an argument and you got mad or upset and then you went out and whatever, took it out on somebody else, it would be, they would paint you as this, angry black man. That's what it is immediately.
You're a villain.
Well, I got speaking of mental awareness, I'm considered mental issues legally. And prime example, I had an issue with a doctor, but I didn't email a doctor. I didn't write a letter to the doctor. I told her face to face how I felt, and ever since I told her that, I got hit with he has mental issues because I spoke up. But then you have this person that don't speak up, who's really going to get mental issues because they're holding everything inside.
Right.
So like you said, we caught in a catch-22. Certain races are caught in a catch-22.
Right.
But if I was like Becky and sent a nice formal email, I'm perfectly fine. But because I want to address you face to face, now I got anger issues.
Well, but see, that tells you the mental capacity of your doctor, your physician, treating physician, their mental
Neurologist.
Right, but that tells you a lot about them as a person.
Yeah.
You know, to feel threatened.
Now I did have certain. I'm gonna lie. I did use certain words.
Well,
so I give it that.
You didn't say you was gonna put foot, but I mean, I'm just saying the whole thing is that because like you said, like we just mentioned, you throw the rock and then want to hide your hand, and then when you get called out on it, you want to clutch your pearls and fall out on the ground talking about they attacked me, when really, they ain't did nothing except set you straight, and you don't want to be set straight by, you feel like you are entitled to only be set straight by somebody of your own ethnic background.
Correct.
Okay, so when someone else does it, you want to fall out and start crying and them big old crocodile tears. Let me tell you, James ain't the one going for it. Okay, I don't believe in that kind of stuff because it's a bunch of baloney. And it's one of those things that really just gets under my skin. And let's just call it apple and apple.
Yeah.
Okay, if you finna act like that, don't get upset when someone gives they give you the response you was looking for.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to call the police, but okay, now we got we can call it. You can call the police, but the video camera at the ATM across the street just caught the video on everything, and saw that you came up to me and turned me around and started attacking, saying something to me verbally. Right. Now, while you sitting up there throwing those rocks, that video camera at the ATM or the video camera at the jewelry store looking out into the street, catching everything.
But you know what though, James, again, we already got a subject with mental awareness, but that's a whole other topic I'm going to say about that part.
Okay.
But
I'm sorry.
You're good.
It really just gets under my skin that, and this is why we have to have these conversations.
I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you is frustration on the other half is what causes most mental awareness. Like,
yes, sir.
Like, for a fact that person had no business throwing a rock at me. You know that person wrong. You know it. Camera's showing that person wrong. But when they pull that camera, they're gonna find a way not to
switch it.
They're gonna find a way to switch it. So here we are. Now you going home pissed off about this, and your wife can say, "Hello, baby, how was your day?" You explode on her. Your child come home, bro, you explode on him. You know what I'm saying? That's how it all started, because I feel like it's not a fairness of who's getting the lack of and getting, the benefits behind the everyday living in the world we live in.
So what I find really interesting is you talking about the cameras. I think today's society and the upcoming technology that's been being developed, it's capturing everything. So these are issues that we have been facing for a while, which you mentioned earlier, but now it's more documented. There's more evidence. There's more clear-cut information. Yes, it can be swayed, like Disco said, but there's more people who are tech savvy enough to leak the footage, like happens with a numerous amount of cases in this past year. Footage was portrayed one way to paint an officer in a light, and then it was leaked to show the whole entire thing, and you're like, oh wow, so they really just managed to make everybody think that this man was completely innocent because he was doing this and defending himself in this video that they showed us. But then when you start from the beginning and they look at the harassment that started it and everything else that was afoot before, it changes things.
Yeah.
So
and you got to think how somebody can feel. Like, Just think about it, and I've been that way before. Just think about when you wake up and just feel like you can't win.
Yeah.
Just feel like no matter what
That's
you
how
do
your
that
day
day,
starts.
you can't win. Like you get out your bed, just knowing what's gonna go wrong when I walk out this door. Because every day is something. Only because it's something for me, because I'm the one doing it. But my next door neighbor can live the same lifestyle, do the same thing I'm doing, but I'm the one gonna get hit with the target. So I think that has a lot to do with mental. And then I think it's a category. I know growing up, every time a child act bad at school, they said he had what?
Behavioral issues.
Because he was a child having fun, and it's all categorized for money. So even with the mental illness, I think a lot of times, again, somebody who's truthful, somebody who's straightforward, that's another category now for some to make money off of the label.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So mental awareness has to be more talked about. I think as brothers, no disrespect to sisters, but as brothers, we gotta do more with each other to hear the word "I love you," to hear the word "bruh," I like what you're doing, to hear the thank yous. Thank yous mean a lot to people.
Yeah.
The word "thank you" and "I love you" can go a long way with somebody's day and how they are mentally. Because when you feel like you're doing everything for somebody, you can't get a thank you, or "I love you," or you can't do nothing right, that take a toll out of somebody. So we gotta understand how we treat other people too. We can cause mental problems. Because somebody looking up, like I look up to Sydney, let's say, I look up to Sydney for what she do, and you do everything you can every day for me, I say, I don't say a word, say but complain. That can cause stuff in your head. Like here I am doing stuff with disco, I like disco, whatever, but he keep everything he's saying, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta look at other people too. We can cause it on our own people.
Right.
Yeah.
We can cause a lot of headache on our own people.
And have. And have.
That part.
Because even colorism, someone who is dark skinned versus someone who is light skinned, and that all stems but goes back into slavery. When the light skinned slave was in the house.
The Willie Lynch letter.
Yeah, you know, and all of that. So, and even today, here we are in 2020, 2021, and you still got people playing that game with one another.
And sometimes it's your own.
Yeah.
And that's the most, I hate to say it, that's the most hurtful part when it's your own. Like you can walk out the door and expect certain races to treat you certain ways.
Right.
That's the life we live in. That's it. But nowadays you got more of your own people who know your walk of life, who know how you live your life. We all live the same life.
But they think they're better than.
Correct.
And that's where the issues come about.
Correct.
Right. And you know, and the crazy thing is, you know, when it comes to colorism, it's right there in your own family. You got folks that are just as dark as, you know, blackberry dark, all the way to sunlight bright, but they got the same parents, and because of that, they are at odds with one another.
Yep.
You know, because of color. Now it may start off as joking, but over the years, growing up with folks, you have a tendency, some of that stuff has a tendency to wear on you, because now it started at home with your siblings, but then
you expanded that joke to someone else,
and it got carried on in school.
You said something important, James. Start at home.
Yeah.
The head of the household.
Yeah.
Everything start up top. I don't care where you at. Everything is dictated from the top.
Yeah.
So if I'm the husband of my household and I have a terrible attitude every day, it's gonna trend. My kids gonna feed off of it. My wife gonna feed off of it. Everything start up top, and up top can cause mental issues with his own family because how he present himself to his family.
Real.
Yeah, that's real talk.
So I think in closing with mental awareness, I think to close out what I'm saying, we as people, as a unit, need to spend more time saying the word thank you, I love you, what can I do for you next? How can we make this work, whatever we're doing in life?
That's right.
We need to have each other, we need to be each other's best friends on every skin color in the world. We need to come back to unity. And I think mental issues may go down because people start being happy with themselves and walking out their front door, knowing that they're doing something right for somebody.
There's a professor, and I believe her first name is Jean, but I can't remember her full name, and she does these exercises with classes. And there was one where it was basically like, now raise your hand, all the white people in this room, if you would like to be treated as black people are treated. And nobody raised their hand. So she drew this alignment with, you know what you're doing is wrong, you know how everything, like, society treats these people are wrong, but you do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And it's just, okay, everybody sits there passing, everything's just like going on in life, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not experiencing these issues, so they don't actually exist. But when you're actually put on the spot, you can acknowledge they're there, you still just don't want to see them any further than that.
Right.
How you gonna close it out?
Well, I'm gonna close it out by saying this: if you or someone you know is dealing with some mental health issues, go seek out professional help. It is not taboo for you to get. You go to the doctor for everything else, to get your kidneys and your heart and your eyes and the muscle tissues and the whole get down. You go to the doctor for all of that, but you don't go to the doctor for your mind, your mental health. Go to the doctor, doctor, counselor, therapist, whatever whatever phrase term of label you want to put on it, but go see them. Go ahead and sign up and get you the sessions. There's usually about 8 visits for one treatment type of deal. Learn some steps or procedures that'll help you bring down, to help you control your anger, to be able to talk these things out, because these are, your conversation with your aunt, for women, it's, they have their best friends, their mothers, their aunties, sisters, cousins, and so on, so forth. In every group, in every race and nationality across the world, they talk. But we as men do not talk nearly as much. It was brought up about the shop talk at the barber shop. Yes, we do, but even then it's limited when we get to mental health issues, on how to get, we share it and we voice it and we get it off our chest right then, but that still doesn't fix the issue. And to fix the issue is seeking and getting some therapy where we can get take back control of our own personal well-being and in our lives, where we can continue to try to make a difference in lives of the people who are around us. So with that being said, go ahead, I'm sorry. I was saying, seeking therapy doesn't mean that you necessarily have mental health issues. Everyone can benefit from therapy. Absolutely.
Yeah, silence won't get you nowhere. I think, and I made a joke real quick. I got a lot of family members that got high blood pressure because they hold it. To me personally, I'm not a doctor, but they hold everything inside. Mm-hmm. They think I got the worst blood pressure out of the whole family, and I don't, because I don't hold nothing inside. So silence is not the answer. Yes. Going into a corner and time out is not the answer. Mm-hmm. If you got mental, we're not going to speak on the word mental illness. If you got issues with yourself and need seek help, talk to somebody that you're close to, that you trust, like you said, James. Somebody that's not going to want to hear your story to tell the whole world. Somebody who actually want to help you. Right. Again, I'm going to say this again. If you're the head of your household, or the head of whatever you want to call it, dictatorship and leadership is very different. That's right. That's right. And you have to lead by example. So with that being said, folks, thank you for tuning in with us here on Talk Push. Push Talk. Push Talk. Mental. And our topic was mental health awareness on today. Thank you for tuning in with us, and just stay tuned for the next show tomorrow, 1 o'clock p.m. Okay, and we might have another topic that might get me fired up again. Who knows? Good show, y'all.